Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 33 of the Hilltop Sports Report podcast. My name is Jumpin' Jack Carlson, your host. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. It's going to be senior day here in Mount Vernon this upcoming Saturday as the Rams welcome Grinnell in the season finale. Tony Gomez, senior punter and running back, joins me on this episode of the podcast. Excited to have him along. Let's hit the music and start the show.
Let's go Rams! Let's go Rams!
As I mentioned in my intro, Tony Gomez, the senior from Arizona who's a running back and a punter on the Cornell Rams football team, joins me on this episode of the podcast. First of all, Tony, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here.
I appreciate it. Yeah, so going into this Saturday, describe the emotions that you are feeling going into your final career football game.
I mean, it's crazy. The fact that me and my roommates, all of us seniors now, just us reflecting. We were looking back at the roster of guys we started when we first came here as freshmen, and just thinking about what we've done 4 years at Cornell, whether it's school, academics, athletics, like whatever it is. It is crazy how far we've made it.
Absolutely. And you've done pretty much everything that anybody could want to do in a career here as a student athlete. You're a 3-time academic All-Midwest Conference, counting on you to be 4-time academic All-Midwest Conference. Sure, you're handling that this year. So going into your athletic performance, last year, first team All-Conference as a punter, your first season punting at the collegiate level, and also being second team as a running back in the conference. Describe what last year was for you in your growth process as an athlete.
Last year, I really felt the load. I mean, sophomore year, I spent a little time at running back, shifting between more blocking back and actually getting the ball, taking a load of the carries. But last year, it was really just me in the backfield. I mean, we hammer a little bit. Last year, Boo Boo was a freshman. He handled the load a little bit. But primarily, it was just me at running back. And going into the year, like you talk about punting, we didn't have a punter. They recruited a few guys, but they kind of opened it up to tryouts. And coach was like, Gomez, get over here, try it out. And I've never punted straight up, but I played goalie a little bit before I got to high school playing soccer, so I knew how to like rugby kick from the side, and so he tried it, and sure enough, kicked it 50, 60 yards sometimes, and he goes, yep, you're going to do that, and I was like, sweet, let's do it. So I thought it was a lot of fun. Punting was just, I don't know, something on the side, kind of enjoyed doing it and stuff, got an extra rushing yard against U Chicago, so it was a lot of fun doing that. But at running back, I mean, I kind of felt that I had to take more responsibility compared to my freshman, sophomore year, like it was my time to step up and really take control of the team on the offense.
Absolutely. So describe that first moment when you went out there for your first punting opportunity in 2023. Were you nervous? I mean, obviously you just come off of an offensive series, so perhaps you were just in the heat of the moment. Okay, let's punt. Everything's all good. But were there some moments, some butterflies where you were just like, oh crap, this is really happening?
Yeah, I always get more nervous to go out and handle my special teams duties than I do at running back. I don't know why, what it is about it. Like even when I'm on kickoff return, going out there to block for a returner, like I get more nervous to do that than I do to actually play running back and sit back there in the backfield. Even when I know, like Coach K tells me, oh yeah, you're getting the ball first play, we're running inside zone, whatever it is. Like that's like, all right, cool, I'm fired up, ready to go. Like yeah, give me the ball. But then when I go out there for punting duty, sometimes I'm like, oh shoot, don't drop it. Make sure the ball gets off, make sure it's a good punt, no one blocks it. That's kind of what goes through my head most of the time.
Well, you've done a fantastic job, and I mean, I'm petitioning to the Midwest Conference right now, folks. This is an all-conference performer, not only at running back, but also as punter. I think you should repeat as that this season as well. So, going into senior day, your band of brothers that are going to be graduating with you in this 2024 class. You just alluded to that a couple of answers ago, but describe what those guys have meant to you throughout your 4 years on the Hilltop.
I think they've meant everything to me, more than football, I would say. Because I talk to my dad about it all the time, and a lot of people tell me, like, oh, you're going to miss playing the game. But to me personally, I don't feel like I will. I don't feel like I'll miss necessarily playing the game. I mean, I've done everything I want to do. I haven't left anything. I haven't regretted anything. I've played through injury, especially this year. And I wasn't even thinking about coming back this year. Like, that was kind of a battle I had last year. But with the guys, like, that's what I feel like I'll miss most. That's what, like, I'm already starting to think about. Me and Rome and Wes were talking about already, like, that's what we're going to miss, is all the experiences we're going to have, the times in the locker room, the times traveling together, even just practice out there messing around together. Those are the key moments I think I'll miss the most.
Absolutely. And throughout your career, you've had all sorts of electric moments here on the Hilltop, but especially going into last season. You were the guy as the running back. We're kind of bouncing around if you didn't catch on already here, folks, on this podcast. But last year, you became the guy. But at the same time, at the end of the year, you were considering, as you mentioned, not continuing here into your senior year on the football team. What ultimately fed into that decision to come back?
So the biggest reason for me not to come back was my original career path for me after Cornell. I wanted to look at pre-med and go to PA school. And so you need a lot of hours, clinical hours to do that. And so trying to get clinical hours, but then also play football and handle all these responsibilities academically because I'm still taking high-level classes. That was kind of like my issue, trying to manage all that time and stuff. And I didn't want to take gap year. I wanted to go straight to PA school or grad school right after. And so I was like, in order to manage that time, talking to advisors, they're like, look at not playing football because that would be the easiest way to get those hours and keep moving forward with your career path. And so that's what I was really contemplating. I was like, all right, just gonna call it quits. Like, I've already done everything I wanted to do. I mean, I put everything on the line last year for the team and stuff. But then kind of talking to the guys, talking to coach, and then kind of just thinking about like what I actually want to do with my future. That's what kind of brought me back in together. I was like, man, I got one more year left. That's it. Like one more year, finish out strong, do everything I can for this program, help the program build, help the guys grow in leadership and character in all the ways that I can, and just see what God has for me from there. And that's what I kind of got into this year. At the beginning of this year, I kind of switched. I started looking at like, what do I like to do? I love fishing, love being outdoors, love wildlife. I still love the biology, chemistry, and stuff like that, looking at genetics. So I was like, why don't I look at wildlife biology? Talk to Josh Allen, he's a professor here. And he's kind of helped me get on that straight path of like, I can go to grad school. I can actually make a career out of this. And that's my passion. Just like football's my passion, I found a passion for my career path too after.
That's fantastic. And Tony is a BMB major here, biochemistry and molecular biology here on the Hilltop. BMB, as Cornellians call it. Here on the Hilltop, he's found his career path, and that's really exciting for you. Wishing you nothing but the best going forward after that. So now let's dive into this season a little bit more under the microscope. The Rams have had a couple of close calls against some of the league's top kings in Monmouth and Illinois College, along with Lake Forest. So those three teams, obviously, were the teams to beat going into this season. The Rams have battled them close throughout this season. Describe those games for our podcast audience.
I think the biggest thing for those games is those games define who we are and what our program's becoming to be, and that's what we kind of talked about going into those games. We played them very tough, especially Lake Forest, especially Monmouth. We were up Monmouth by 2 scores, so it's like we had the chance to win that game, and a lot of times it's just finishing. That's our biggest problem right now. Coach Piper always talks about it. Everybody knows that. Like, our biggest problem is just finishing out those games against top opponents. And not to discredit teams like Chicago, Ripon, and those teams. Like, those are teams we should have beat Chicago. But we came out, we just struggled. Like, our team, like, just something about it was off for us. But I mean, that's a part of growing a program. That's why I always meet with Coach Piper and talk to him about. But I think the biggest thing is just getting our guys to understand that we're building a program still. This is only Coach Piper's 4th year. Like, we're his first full class. Especially in college, it's really hard to turn around like in high school. A lot of teams think like, oh, my high school team turned around like that. We went from, like, even my team, my freshman year, we went from 3-7 to 7-3, making the playoffs, winning the semifinals. But in college, it's a lot harder than that, especially because you're trying to recruit kids, bring all this talent and stuff, and so are the other teams that are already established programs. But I think what's really good for us is that Cornell's on the map now. I mean, we should finish the season 5-5. We're going to go out and handle business this Saturday. I know it's a little worse than we did last year at 6-4, but we're playing these top-tier teams, very tough. And they're now all these guys that are coming back next year. I mean, we're losing some seniors and stuff, but we're not the key component of this team. We've done a lot to build the program, and now that that's gone, it's all about finishing the race. It's all about what will Cornell football do now from here on out. I always tell the guys, like, the future's bright for you guys. I keep telling them 2 to 3 years from now, they will go undefeated. They will win the conference. They will make the playoffs. Like, beating Co. Like that, those are all very, very real possibilities. But then I turn around and tell the seniors, like, we built this. Like, we helped establish this. And that's kind of the role I've always thought about. Like, yeah, I know Coach Piper said when we first got there, oh, if you stay, win championships, like all this stuff. But I knew going into it, like, I'm going into a rebuild. And that's kind of what I like to do because I like taking over. I like being a leader very early on. Like, I don't have to wait till my senior year to be a leader to kind of speak up and stuff. I've been trying to do that since my sophomore year. And even last year, I was thankfully voted as captain. So that's what I've really been trying to do is, like, help Piper establish this program. Help them establish the leadership and the culture of what we're trying to do here at Cornell.
Absolutely. Got to love that leadership. And was there any specific moment in your life where you identified, hey, this is what I want to do wherever I go, is to be that leader? Was that something that you identified in college during that sophomore year, or is that something that has always been within you?
I feel like it's always been with me, just kind of naturally ever since I was born. Like, no matter what team I've played on, like, I've always just, it's felt natural to step up and be that leader. And it's kind of strange, though, because I struggle with public speaking. Cannot stand, like, even presentations in class, like, sometimes I struggle. I get so nervous. I don't necessarily do terrible at it, but, like, I just get so nervous doing it. But just when it comes to sport and when it comes to, like, things I'm really passionate about, it's so easy for me to just stand up and just address the team and kind of hold my biggest thing is I want to hold myself to a higher standard so that everyone else can follow what I do. And I'm all about servant leadership, so serve everyone else before I get my things done.
That's fantastic. Gotta love that, and gotta love having that mindset in the program, building for future years. And Just know it, folks. As Tony follows along with this team in future years, you just know that this team is going to be built into something special. Special players in that running back room again this year. Obviously, you're leading the pack, but Boo Boo Browning and other young, fresh faces. What have those guys meant to you this season and for Boo Boo last season?
Boo Boo and Trey Anderson specifically, they've contributed a lot this year, helping me out a lot. I've been dealing with a lot of injuries this year, and they've kind of helped taking over some of that workload a little bit. And Coach Chapman does a fantastic job with us. He's probably easily my favorite coach I've ever had. I mean, he's helped me a lot, not only in the game, like growing my passion and stuff, helping me narrow in what I'm trying to do, but also just in life as a man and in my faith. Like, he's been a great role model for me, a great mentor for me, and I really appreciate him. And I think he's doing a great job at developing these younger guys. I mean, I spent a lot of time with Boo Boo and Trey trying to get them ready for this year and even next year in the future, just trying to help them understand like their football IQ, their football knowledge, what it means to be a running back, like more than what people think. Like, it's not just you're getting the ball and you're going. Like, we have to, like Coach Chapman always says, we're the eraser. We fix all the mistakes. Whether an O lineman messes up, whether a QB messes up, whether you need to give them more time, whatever it is, like, that's your job, and it's your job to understand all the concepts, the pass pro, everything. So I think he's doing a great job. And that's what Boo Boo and Trey are starting to do a good job. They're like really being sponges and soaking that stuff in, and they're doing a great job of learning and understanding.
Well, that's fantastic. On the offensive line, that's something that you have to have a special relationship, that unit, you have to have a special relationship with them as a running back, just in offense in general. So describe what those guys mean to you.
Oh, they mean a lot to me. They mean the world to me right now. I mean, they're always doing their best that they can, and I always know that they are. They're giving me everything they can. I mean, Canals, Pelfrey, DQ, Frost, they're all playing through many injuries, trying to get everything they can done. I mean, Pelfrey has a new injury every week, it seems like sometimes, but he doesn't care. He's still pushing through everything. Canals, same thing. That guy's a dog, and he keeps pushing through and doing everything he can for us. And then this year we had the addition of RJ and Mason, who came in and over from the D-line, and they've been unbelievable help. I mean, they've really helped establish what we are on the offense. And I really got to credit RJ and Mason because their leadership has really helped out. That was one thing we kind of lacked because they had my voice in the offense, and John Smith was there occasionally. But Mason and RJ have been a big voice, being more vocal leaders, helping me out in the offense and getting guys reeled in, getting guys going.
That's fantastic. You just mentioned John Smith. What does he mean to you, and really the quarterback room in general with Thomas entering the program this year?
John Smith's meant a lot. I think he's a great example leader because he puts in a lot of work that a lot of people don't realize. A lot of guys on the team don't realize either. Like, he's the one watching the most film. He's watching 3 or 4 hours of film a day. And like most of the guys can't even pick up their phone to watch film at, like, every other day. So it's crazy to me. And how much he knows the offense. Like, Coach K can call it just a play, and he'll give out the concept, he'll give out the formation, the blocking scheme, where everyone needs to line up. Like, he knows so much more about the offense than what people understand, what people realize. I know sometimes he has his moments, he struggles a little bit sometimes, but just the fact that he's able to persevere with his knowledge of the game, his IQ and stuff like that, and use his skills to his advantage, I think that shows a lot of leadership from him and stuff. And just the other QBs, you have Mason Dew, who's a freshman right now. That kid has a lot of talent. That's another reason I talk about how bright the future is for Cornell football, because there's a lot of talent in that freshman sophomore class all over the field, whether it's on offense and defense. So that's why I think it's going to be very good.
Yeah, can't wait to see what this team can become. So Tony has also battled through some injuries throughout his career here on the Hilltop. So if you could, describe what those injuries were like for you and how you have battled through them.
So the first major injury I had was freshman year, week 3 during the bye. I fractured my fibula, and that was kind of the biggest setback for me because I never really got majorly injured up till coming here to college. And I mean, had a lot of success my freshman year, had 100 yards rushing the second game, third game, finally scored my first collegiate touchdown. And then I was like, oh, sweet, going into the fourth game, coach talking about getting more reps and stuff, and all of a sudden I get hurt. And that was a major setback. I was in a boot for 8 weeks, and it was a struggle, like trying to recover, trying to come back. It's the first time I had to do this, and I'm in college, and it's all new to me, like trying to get to know guys on the team and stuff. But at the same time, I think that really helped me understand the game a lot more. Just always being around Coach K, Coach Piper, Coach King at the time, the OC, and just really understood concepts. Really understood like the blocking scheme, what's supposed to happen, what's my job as a running back. I kind of saw it more from a coach's perspective than a player's perspective, which I really liked. And I thought that helped enhance my game a lot. And then further with my injuries, I dealt with some stuff sophomore, had an ankle sprain, so nothing really serious. My sophomore year, my junior year, I took a bulk of the carries, just a lot of just getting hit physically, nothing really serious. And then this year, week 3 again, I fractured my ankle and also sprained it quite bad. And that was tough. I mean, I didn't really want to sit out when I found out it happened. I finished the game against Ripon, happened to be in the fourth quarter, finished the game, And I talked to Marissa, our athletic trainer. She's done a fantastic job. Without her, I would not be here right now. I would not be playing. I always tell her all the time, like, if I had any athletic trainer, I would be done. Like, my senior season would be over. It ended devastating, not the way I wanted it to. But that's kind of been my MO my entire life, is just how tough am I? Like, can I push through the pain? Can I get things done? And my biggest thing this year has been team over everything. And that's what I've been telling all the guys. Like, they always ask, how are you playing right now? Why are you doing this for? Because to me, it's team over everything. I know I'm at Division III. I know I'm not getting paid to play. I know I am paying to play. But to me, it's still, I am a part of this program. I'm a part of building what I started and finishing it. So I want to be a part of that every step of the way. And I've had to miss some practices sometimes, and I had to miss the Beloit game. But other than that, I've played through it the entire time, and I've been trying to push myself, trying to set a standard and an example. Same thing with Roman West. Roman West just had a freak incident, and he's still playing. And so it's kind of just that's what we're doing. We're setting expectations, setting a standard of the team is the team. Like, the team will always be here. When I'm gone, the team will still be here. But it's what you left. It's what you started. It's what you built. And that's what's going to stay with the team the entire time. So that's kind of like what my thing is. Like, what am I building? What am I showing these guys for the future of Cornell football?
That really is fantastic. Gotta love that philosophy of being those bricklayers, of laying down the foundation for what this program can become in future years. A couple more questions for you. The first is Coach Dan Pfeiffer. He has been your head coach for these 4 years here on the Hilltop. What has he meant to you personally as an athlete, but also off the field?
He's meant a lot to me. He's been my role model on the field. He's been showing me exactly what I need to do and what's expected of me. But he's also showing me what it means to be a coach, because that's what my kind of thing is, what I want to do in the future. I want to coach high school football. It's been a passion of mine now. Especially, I've grown that over the last few years. I go back and volunteer at the high school I went to. And so he's really showed me, like, the ins and outs of coaching. So I talked to a lot. I've met a lot with him since my sophomore year. Just about what is a program, what is building a program, because he's done this before, like at Olivet, and that's like my biggest thing. I like building programs, I like establishing programs, I like being a part of that, and he showed me the ins and outs of doing that. And then off the field, we go fishing all the time. It's a fantastic time. He talked about in the article. I backed down his trailer for him and stuff, but being on his boat fishing, talking to him, it's just a great time sharing a passion like that with your head coach.
Gotta love that. And final question for you. Your lasting memory of life on the Hilltop. Obviously, as a student athlete, your days sometimes are tremendously packed. But what is your final takeaway from your time here at Cornell College going to be?
I think my final impact would just be the friends I've made here and the impact that it's left on me. I've enjoyed so much here. My friends Sean Lakupu, Roman West, Mason, RJ, all these guys. It's been a great time with them, the guys in my class. And just the things we can do off campus still. And we go fishing all the time together. We go have a bonfire at Palisades. We go to each other's house, just hang out. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, because we're all struggling through this stuff together. We're all taking hard classes. We're all going through the block program together. We're all in the locker room at 3 o'clock getting ready for practice, getting taped up. And just those memories that we have together last all life. I mean, these are lifelong friends that we've made. And then even with just the younger guys, I didn't realize how close I get to some of the guys below me, like Gavin and Silas. Like, those two of my best friends now. And I hope I can come back for senior day next year and watch them play and continue to be friends with them too. And then even the following year with Boo Boo and Trey, and going further and watch the freshmen play after that. So I want to keep coming back, keep establishing those relationships with those guys, because they've meant a lot to me. They've done a lot for my life.
Well, you've done so much for this Cornell football program and for Cornell College as a whole. We thank you so much for taking the time today on this episode of the podcast, and wish you nothing but the best going forward.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Okay, well, thank you so much to you, the listener, for watching or listening wherever you may be on this episode of the Hilltop Sports Report. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we invite you to tune in next week for episode 34 of the podcast. Stay tuned to the Cornell Rams social media platforms as to when that episode will drop. My name is Jumpin' Jack Carlson, speaking on behalf of the Cornell College Rams, signing off for this episode, saying, I'll see you next time.
Let's go Rams! Let's go Rams!